Here's a psychology fact you were never taught. You do not attract toxic people by accident. Your nervous system chooses them, not because you like pain, but because pain once felt like home. If you grew up feeling unseen, unheard, or emotionally alone, your brain learns something very dangerous, that love means inconsistency, that connection means anxiety, that attention must be earned. So when someone treats you poorly, your body does not say run, it says this feels familiar, and familiar feels safe, even when it hurts. That is why you keep falling for the same kind of person. Different face, same wound. Psychologists call this trauma bonding, but that word does not fully explain what it feels like, because this is not about wanting toxic people. It is about being wired to chase emotional distance. If your parents were emotionally unavailable, overwhelmed, or dismissive, you learned that closeness was unpredictable. Sometimes you were loved, sometimes ignored, sometimes punished for needing too much. So your nervous system adapted. It became hyper-aware, hyper-responsible, always scanning, always adjusting to keep connection alive. Now, as an adult, that same nervous system looks for what it knows: emotionally distant partners, unstable affection, hot and cold behavior. Not because you want chaos, but because your body thinks chaos equals love. This is the part most people do not understand. When you meet someone healthy, someone consistent, someone who does not play games, your nervous system does not relax. It feels bored, uneasy, disconnected, because there is no emotional chase, no uncertainty, no familiar tension. So your brain whispers, there's no spark here. But the truth is, the spark you are used to is anxiety. It is your trauma being activated. Healthy love feels calm, but calm feels unfamiliar. So your body mistakes peace for lack of chemistry, and you walk away, back toward what hurts, because hurt is what you know how to survive. The real wound underneath all of this is not loneliness, it is conditional worth. As a child, you learned, I am lovable when I am useful. I am wanted when I do not cause problems. I am safe when I do not need too much. So now, you overgive, over-explain, over-tolerate. You stay in relationships long after they stop being healthy because leaving feels like failing, because asking for better feels dangerous, because deep down you are still trying to prove that you are worth staying for. Toxic partners exploit this, not consciously, but energetically. They feel how much you will endure, and they give you just enough to keep you hoping. You do not ignore red flags because you are naive. You ignore them because your nervous system was trained to survive emotional neglect as a child. You learned to read moods, to soften yourself, to wait, to hope, to endure. So now when someone pulls away, your body does not say, this is wrong. It says, this is familiar. Let me try harder. Let me be smaller. Let me be better. That is not love. That is survival, and survival does not know how to choose peace. It only knows how to keep connection at any cost. You do not ignore red flags because you are naive. You ignore them because your nervous system was trained to survive emotional neglect. As a child, you learned to read moods before you read words. You learned to feel tension before you felt safety. You learned that silence meant danger, and withdrawal meant you had done something wrong. So you became careful. You became observant. You became good at staying small. You learned to soften your voice, to make yourself easier to be around, to disappear just enough to keep the connection alive. You learned to wait, to hope, to endure, because when love was inconsistent, waiting felt like loyalty, and endurance felt like proof. So now, when someone pulls away, your body does not say, "This is wrong." It says, "This is familiar." And familiar feels safer than the unknown. So you try harder, you explain more, you give more, you ask for less. You become smaller, quieter, more agreeable, not because you lack worth, but because your nervous system believes connection is fragile, so it tries to protect it at any cost. That is not love, that is survival. And survival does not know how to choose peace. It only knows how to avoid abandonment. It only knows how to keep connection, even when it hurts, even when it costs you yourself. And that is why the red flags do not feel dangerous. They feel like home. Healing does not mean forcing yourself to love healthy people. Healing means teaching your nervous system a new language, the language of safety. It means teaching your body that calm is not danger, that quiet is not abandonment, that consistency is not loss. Because when you grew up in chaos, peace felt empty, and stability felt like something was missing. So your body learned to confuse intensity with intimacy and anxiety with connection. That is why when someone is gentle, your chest tightens. When someone is predictable, your mind searches for what is wrong. When someone does not pull away, your nervous system waits for the drop. But healing happens when you stay, when you let your body feel the discomfort of not being in crisis, when you let yourself experience what it is like to not have to earn love, when someone feels boring but kind, when someone feels steady but not intoxicating. That is where healing begins. Not in fireworks, not in emotional roller coasters, but in safety, in warmth, in being allowed to breathe. Your job is not to chase love. Your job is to listen to your body when it feels grounded, when it feels soft, when it does not feel like it has to perform, and stay there, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when it feels too quiet, even when part of you wants to run, because that quiet is not emptiness, it is peace. You are not broken for craving intensity. You were trained to confuse intensity with intimacy. When love came in waves instead of consistency, your nervous system learned to stay alert, to wait, to brace, to hope. So now calm can feel boring. Safety can feel suspicious. Kindness can feel flat. Not because it is wrong, but because it is unfamiliar. Your body does not recognize peace yet. It recognizes patterns, and patterns feel like home, even when home was not safe. Here is the truth that changes everything. What you call chemistry is often a trauma response. That pull toward emotionally unavailable people, that rush when someone is hot and cold, that need to prove your worth, that is not love. That is your nervous system trying to finish an old story. But you do not heal by fixing the past through new people. You heal by teaching your body that it no longer has to earn closeness. The first time you choose someone who feels steady, your system will resist. It will whisper, "This feels wrong. This feels dull. This feels unsafe." But that fear is not intuition. It is withdrawal from chaos. Real love does not feel like fireworks. It feels like exhaling. And the day you choose exhale over adrenaline is the day your life quietly changes. So if this reached something inside you that has been tired of surviving, let this be the moment you stop chasing what hurts and start choosing what holds you. This channel is not here to make you louder. It is here to make you safer inside yourself. And that is where real love begins.